Hello, everyone. My name is Jeannie Asdampana, and today I'll be going through a walkthrough of the new features that we've added to the Coldtivate app. Over the past few months, our team has been busy adding features and functionalities that we believe will make the experience of using the app better and more efficient. And today I'll be doing a short tutorial walking through all of the changes that you'll be able to see. What we will do is we'll go through the changes that you can find in each of the different account types, starting with registered employee accounts and then going to operator and cooling user accounts as well. So getting started, we'll start our walkthrough with the registered employee account. And I'll start by logging into my account. And we'll go through some of the features that can be observed from this perspective. So the main changes that you can see from an employee, a registered employee account can be found in the management section of the app. What we'll do is we'll first navigate to the cooling unit settings, where we'll be able to see some new features that have been added. When we click on any one of our cooling units, we'll see the cooling unit settings that appear. And what we'll find is that if we scroll about halfway through the page, there are some new lines that have been added to this setup page. First, we'll start at the line, Make Check-ins Editable by Operator, with a toggle that you can switch on and off. This feature is connected to our editable check-in features that have now been added to include the ability for operators to edit any of the check-ins that have been made within the same day time frame to change or add specific pieces of information. When registered employee accounts toggle this feature on, then that functionality will be accessible for operators that are working with that cooling unit, and otherwise it won't be a feature that's accessible to operators. The next feature that we've added is we've added a new sensor type. So here in the section Sensor Available, you'll see that I have connected to our new sensor type, which is a figure sensor. And to showcase that, I will toggle that off and I'll reconnect to one of these sensors. Here you can see the new sensor has been added. I'll click that, and what you'll see is that the two pieces of information that are needed to connect to this sensor type are an API key as well as a device tag. So I am grabbing these two pieces of information, and you'll see that we'll authenticate the sensor credentials and will now be connected to a figure sensor. Now, the next section that we have added is related to our commodities. So we have now added the functionality to be able to store and keep track of a set of new commodities in the cold rooms. This includes fish, meat, and flowers. You can find those by scrolling through this commodity list and making sure that if you want those commodities to be accessible to those that are using your cold room, that they are clicked and checkmarked on. So we can do that by clicking these features here, as you can see, dairy, fish, and flowers, or we can also search them up using the search function and make sure that they're clicked on as well. Now, the next feature is related to crop-specific pricing. By adding this functionality, we have made it available to set specific and distinct prices based on each commodity. This way, you can have separately priced commodities for storage costs. So what you can see here is that I have differently priced commodities already visible. Meanwhile, the rest of the commodities are at the 40 rate, which is the average rate for my room. Now, to edit any of these features, I can select and type the new value of the price for that commodity, and I can hit OK to save those settings. Now, the last piece of cooling unit settings that we have added are related to these rows at the bottom here. This is related to our impact dashboard, as we've added new functionality to keep track of CO2 emissions impact data within the impact dashboard. In order to be able to track that information effectively, we need to track the information related to the type of refrigerant, the amount of refrigerant, power consumption, and so on related to these cooling units to be able to calculate those metrics effectively. So what we are asking is that all registered employees who are interested in being able to keep track of these metrics for their cooling units go into their cooling unit settings and fill out this information accordingly. Once that is done, you can save your changes, and we can move on to the next section where we can see some new functionality. This will be related to the company details. So we are still in the management section of the app, and we click the company details line. And what you'll see here is that there is a new section titled Receiver's Details. This is related to our new digital payment method that we have made available, which is digital bank transfers. So here, users who are located in Nigeria specifically can add their information for their digital banking, including their account name, number, and bank name, which can be selected from a variety of options. And this can enable digital payments through bank transfer, which I will also showcase when we see the operator side for checkouts. We can save those changes as well. And then we'll go to the last section from the registered employees account, which is the Knowledge Hub. Now, the information accessible in the Knowledge Hub is accessible to all user types. And so operators and cooling users can also see the changes that we've made to the Knowledge Hub as well. Before, this Knowledge Hub section contained crop storage table information, which had the optimal temperature and storage life for all the different commodities. But we have now added a variety of other pages as well to add additional information. This includes the Farmer's Journey comic strip, which is a tutorial manual. And we have also added a variety of other pages, including the overview of cooling as a service, as a model, how to maximize crop quality, and several other pages as well. So with that being said, we'll now transition over to looking at the operator's side. So we will first log into the operator account. And upon logging in, the first feature that we'll navigate is here at the Analytics tab. This is where you can find the Impact Dashboard, which is also visible from the registered employee account as well. So these features are visible to both sides. Now, the first feature that I'll highlight is, as I mentioned in the cooling unit settings, we have added the functionality to look at carbon emissions impact data. This is visible in the Impact Dashboard here at the Impact tab. As you can see, as before, we have food loss evolution information, cooling user revenue evolution information, as well as the CO2 emissions evolution information. Here we can see the change from the number of kilograms of CO2 per kilogram of produce that has been emitted without cooling and the change with cooling. Now, there are other new features available on our Impact dashboards as well. This includes the functionality to download and export data that is shown here in the Impact dashboard pages. We can do so by clicking the Download Data button, which will download a PDF export to the device that you are using. Now, we can also do the same at the aggregated and comparison pages, but in order to allow that functionality, we have to configure dates and cooling unit selections. And we will also be able to do the same, downloading a PDF to our device. Now, the functionality to export and download data is also available from the operator account in another section of the account as well. If we go to the management section here as well, we'll see that the operator account is slightly different than the registered employee account. Here we have cooling user, revenue analysis, and usage analysis pages. And here, if we navigate to each one, you'll see we also have download data buttons available. By downloading the data on these pages, you will configure, again, a date and a cooling unit selection. And instead, an Excel sheet will be downloaded to your device, storing all the information that you can see on these pages. The same is applied to the revenue analysis page, as well as the cooling user page as well. An additional layer is that in the cooling user page, we can select any one of our users, and we will see that a Download Farmer's Dashboard button is also available. One of the other functionalities that we've included in this release is a Farmer's Dashboard, which is a cooling user equivalent of the Impact Dashboard, which shows the impact metrics from an individual user's perspective. Now, not all of those who have cooling user accounts have smartphones. And so for those users who do not have smartphones, operators can download the Farmer's Dashboard data for these users by clicking this button right here. Now, the next area of the app that we'll navigate to is once again on this left-hand side menu bar, where we will go to the account details. Here we can see the language that we have selected for this account. And if we click this button, we'll see that we have a variety of languages now available to navigate the app through. You can see that we have Hindi, Oriya, Gujarati, as well as French and Portuguese. By selecting any of these languages, the entire app will be translated automatically and can be navigated in your language of preference. And this is also applicable to all account types. So registered employees as well as cooling users will also be able to access this functionality. Now that we've navigated some of those settings and features, we will look at looking at a check-in and checkout process and the new features that are related to this as well. So we'll start by working on a check-in. We'll select one of my users in this room, and we're currently looking at unit number 2. So before moving forward with our check-in, I'll make sure to select cooling unit number 1, as that's the room that we've made all of our setting selections when we were on the registered employee account. This way, we'll make sure to be able to see all the functionalities that have been toggled on. So by moving forward with the check-in, I'll select a user and I'll add some crates. We'll select some crates of bananas. What you'll see here is that the check-in process page has now been condensed to one easy-to-access page. You can change your selection of crop here at the top. You can enter the number of crates that you plan to store, and you can enter the general weight of each crate. However, now we have added functionality to edit the individual weight of each crate specifically, if any one of them is different. And we also have the ability to edit individual crate IDs. This is a part of our digital crate management that we have added in order to keep track of individual crates based on a numerical ID. We can place IDs associated to each crate either by entering them manually here, or we can give a starting crate ID in order to serialize all of the crates accordingly as so. Now all of the crates are labeled from 10 to 14, and we can save our changes. Now we can put in the number of days that we plan to store and fill out the rest of the check-in process. Now we can confirm this check-in. And the first feature that I'd like to highlight is that now that we've made this check-in, we can navigate through the dashboard here through all of the different check-ins that we've made. But now we've added the functionality to be able to search for particular items in your dashboard, either based on crate details, for example, the commodity name, or based on the crate ID, based on the serial that we've added. Now, another feature that we'll navigate is by going into the History tab. So for Unit 1, we've toggled on the Editable Check-in feature. Once this page loads, what we will be able to do is see how we can edit one particular check-in after it's been completed. So what we'll do first is select the cooling unit that we're interested in looking in. We made our check-in in Unit 1. And now we can see here the check-in that we just completed for 5 crates of bananas. When we click on the 3 dots, we can see the Edit Check-in button is available to click. If we had not toggled on the Edit Check-in feature, it would not be available for our operator accounts. Once we click the Edit Check-in, we can see that there are certain entries of data where we can change the data that we entered originally. We can change the cooling user name, the crop type, as well as the planned number of days in storage. If, for example, any information has changed, or if we incorrectly typed the wrong information the first time, we can change this value and save our changes here. Now that we've navigated some of the functionalities for check-ins, we can also navigate the new functionalities for checkouts. If we want to check out the following crop that we just checked in, we can hit the checkout button. We can move through the next page. And what we'll be able to see here is on payment type, as we've made available bank transfer information, we can click that button right here, and a pop-up will appear on our screen, including the account name, account number, and bank name, making it available for any cooling user to insert that information for their bank transfer to be complete. Once that is done, we can hit the paid button and we can click OK. And now we've used the bank transfer functionality for our payment type. Now, the next section of checkout that we'll look at is taking a look at the checkout code that has been received based on the checkout that we just completed. Another feature that we have enabled is being able to conduct cold transportation transfers. What that means is if we check out from our cooling unit and we want to move our crop into potentially a cold storage truck, then we can check in the same commodity with all of its information being transferred over using our checkout code. So say, for example, we would like to do another check-in into a cold storage unit or cold storage truck. We can check in with code. And by inserting the code here and planning a number of days, we can hit confirm, and all the information associated to that crop gets transferred over immediately. Now we can hit confirm, and now we've taken advantage of the cold transportation functionality. This concludes all the features on the operator account. So now we can log out and log back in into the cooling user account. The last functionality that I'd like to highlight on the cooling user account side is also at the Analytics tab, where we now have our Farmers Dashboard available for viewing. Our Farmers Dashboard includes very similar information as the Impact Metrics dashboard, this time from the perspective of a cooling user. What we can see is that information is split either based on a crates view or an impact view. At the crates view level, we can see the crates that have been checked in and out by this user by crates and quantity, as well as the total operations and the distribution of their crates and crops. On the impact page, what we can see is similar information to the impact dashboard as well, where we can see the number of surveys that they have filled in, as well as the food loss evolution, average revenue evolution, and the baseline surveys and post-checkout surveys that they can fill out. As mentioned before, if any cooling user does not have a smartphone, they can still access this data from the operator's point of view, who can download this data for them. That concludes our overview of all of the new features of Coldtivate. I hope that you have a chance to browse through them and explore, and I hope that these help your use of the Coldtivate app in the future. Thank you so much.